Close of play of the third day of this first test between Pakistan and England in Rawalpindi sees Pakistan close on 499 for 7. They've lost rather more wickets, I think, than people imagined that they might at the start of the day when they were 181 for no wickets. So there's still 158 runs behind. Just to quickly run through the dismissals today, Shafiq was the first to go for 114. He was caught behind by Pope off Jacks. That was 225 for 1. Imam ul Haq followed him for 121, rather gave his wicket away. He lobbed a catch down to long on. And so therefore all 4 openers have scored hundreds in this match. The first time that's ever happened in a test match, and I think says a lot about the pitch and the conditions. Azhar Ali will be disappointed. He got out to Jack Leach bowling with the new ball, LBW, for 27. Saud Shakil made 37. He was caught behind nibbling Robinson, again by Ollie Pope just after tea. Mohammad Rizwan clipped Anderson to Stokes at mid-wicket for 29. And there, just before the close, Nazim Shah launched Jacks down long on's throat again. Leach coming in, taking a good catch for 15. But at the other end, standing firm and in fact batting beautifully. It was a wonderful innings from Babar Azam. He made 136 from 168 balls. Really graceful, beautiful timing. And that was an innings really to savour. He'll be furious the way he got out. Jacks' loosener at the start of a new spell, short wide of the off stump. He mistimed a cut shot and hit it straight to Leach, prowling there at backward point. So Azam out for 136 from 168 balls, certainly the innings of the day. Bowling wise, well, actually all but Root and Stokes have taken wickets. Anderson 1 for 47, Robinson 1 for 64, Jack Leach 42 overs, 2 for 160, but Will Jacks 3 for 132 from 33 overs. I think looked much more at home in Test cricket, albeit someone who is developing the art of off-spin. So, Victor, I don't think we thought 7 wickets would fall today.
No, and it's very rare that you sit in this position with the opposition, England's opposition, at 499 for 7 and say they've had quite a good day, England. But it's that sort of match. It looked a little bleak around tea time, but that last session, where they picked up 4 wickets, in batches too, 2 wickets and then another batch of 2 wickets, has just swung the balance of the game, obviously, and that England dressing room will now be quite buoyant. They've had a pretty good day. It's hard work for the bowlers out there, and I think actually they've stuck at it extremely well, everyone really, in their own way. We've seen, as you say, one exquisite innings from Babar especially. I mean, he looked such a class act. It was such a surprise when he got out, and it was a bit of a gift. The ball from Jacks did turn a fraction and got a bit close to him, but it was about the first false shot he had played. But again, Jacks got a wicket with his first over back, and it was quite good the way Stokes juggled it all around. You might disagree with some of the bowling changes, but he was pretty shrewd out there, because it's not easy captaining a side on this sort of surface. So I think England will be buoyant. I think the draw is still the firm favourite, but we might have an interesting last day now. Yeah,
we sat here last night and talked about that 100 runs that England wanted but didn't get.
Yeah.
Now I just wonder if you added 100 onto the 158 as it stands, and then actually Pakistan were 250 runs behind, there would still be a lot of pressure on them.
Yeah, I mean, there was a time certainly when Babar and Rizwan were together where I thought it was perfectly realistic to anticipate Pakistan having a first innings lead. Well, that's unlikely to happen now. So that confirms what you're saying, that there is this inflation in terms of what runs are worth here. And it is going to be a remarkably high-scoring game. So England's 650 was 500 elsewhere, or 450 elsewhere. However, they are still ahead in the game. The lead is substantial. If they could just polish off the last 3 wickets quickly tomorrow within the first 3/4 of an hour, that gives them a substantial lead and the chance to have quite a long time bowling against Pakistan in the final innings. If it does work out like that, it's a tricky declaration to make, because if 2 batsmen get in here, anything could happen.
It's interesting. I mean, you rely, and I think of a Pakistani perspective here, you do rely on poor shots being played. There were some pretty tame dismissals there. I think if you're Pakistan, you look back at, if you're Imam, at those couple of weeks of Rizwan there and Naseem Shah towards the end, you think, even Babar himself, we did get a bit close to him, but you are relying as a bowler in these conditions, you are really relying on batsman error.
Exactly.
And they were provided with that today.
They were, and batsmen are mortal, just like fast bowlers. And they'd make mistakes, and people underestimate how much batsman error gets your wickets. It's less so in Test cricket. County cricket happens more often. In club cricket, probably happens not all the time, but very, very frequently. I'm trying to think of a batsman who can go back and say, well, that was a damn good ball there.
Unplayable.
Hard to think of anyone who could say that in this match, because it's that sort of pitch. So you have to put pressure on it. And I mean, Jimmy Anderson, let's talk about him briefly. I mean, he's got his wicket in Pakistan. He didn't get his wicket through anything desperately devious, but he kind of had bottled up Rizwan. The pressure was rising. He was bowling those little faintly reverse swinging deliveries. He had his 2 mid-wickets, a little clip off the middle of the bat, but there was the man there.
Yes.
So it's a batsman error, but he had built up a fair bit of pressure.
It's a wearing down process, isn't it?
Yeah.
And if things go your way, you do get that false shot, and certainly that was a case in point. I mean, Jimmy would say, yes, I bowled for that, not necessarily caught mid-wicket, but he bowled for that false shot. Yeah. The batsman looking to try and be positive, and making a mistake.
Yeah, and it's hard to be. I mean, there's not many nicks. We've had actually Pope took 2 catches today, one of which was very good. That first wicket, he was so relieved to get a wicket with a couple hundred on the board, and it wasn't a straightforward catch.
No, it wasn't.
And it gave Jacks his first Test wicket because it was quite a thick edge, standing up.
Yeah, quite a deflection actually.
Yeah, so he had a good day.
Yeah,
behind the stumps.
That was Shafiq, who Pope dismissed, and he also took the second one when Saud Shakil had a little dabble. He's a left-hander, dabble outside the off stump, and Edge Robinson for 37. I thought he bowled well. I mean, he's such a quick learner. I said last summer, he's just one of the most natural seam bowlers I think I've ever seen, and because he does learn so fast, and he's bowling his wobble seam now. He's bowling little cutters now. He's changing his pace. Keeper standing up, which is never actually easy to do as a quick bowler. You're used to the man back. It's your picture. It's your whole sort of picture of where people are, where your good length is. Therefore, where the batsman is alters a lot by wicketkeeper standing up. But it didn't seem to faze him at all. Yeah,
I mean, the seamers on here just wanted to bowl straight with protection, because you don't think the nicks are going to carry, or you don't think you're going to get any nicks. So you're bowling for bowls, which is unlikely to happen, but you're bowling almost for LBWs, or maybe the clip on the leg side. In fact, he got the left-hander. The left-hander got a bit ruffled. Do you remember the ball before? He'd been played and missed, and Pope had thrown the ball as a possible stumping because he was batting out of his crease. And I think he just got his mind went just after tea, and he did get a little bit of extra bounce, Robinson, and he got that nick. It's a nightmare really for people to bowl quick or medium pace. I mean, he's medium pace really, but he's got discipline, and there was a spring in his step after he got that wicket. You always feel better when you get 1 wicket, and on here they kind of count double.
Stokes all but 1 over, I think he bowled. He's only bowled 7 overs for 35, but I think all but 1 over, which is a kind of a loosening over, was short.
Yeah.
Do you think he might just, because he can do things with the ball? Stokes.
Well,
is it necessary to go for that? He's gone for 5 and over bowling like that, which is, I mean, he's taken it for the team to say, look, I'm going to try something different and do it.
Well, he was selflessly, I mean, it's hard work too, and he was just trying something different. What I think I would have preferred to see him do is to bowl in an orthodox manner to Babar and just try to bottle him up. Quite a defensive field. Maybe even bowl that off-stump line with 6 on the offside. And if you want to whip me, well, have a go. Because Babar just did not seem at all perturbed, and he hit some beautiful balls. I think when he was bowling to the left-hander at the time, though, that was quite a good idea, because I think he looked a little bit edgy and wasn't quite sure how he was going to play him. So that was okay. But I don't think you have to go... You can switch. Sometimes you can set a field where you can bowl 2 or 3 bouncers and not keep bowling bounces, because Babar just knew exactly where it was coming. He played some great shots, but he was in position probably before the ball was bowled.
I'd like to see Stokes have a go with a much newer ball, because he does swing the ball. He genuinely swings the ball, and I know that Anderson does too, and didn't swing this particular one, but you never know. Different wrist, different, whatever it may be. Andy Zaltzman, who was on fire on the first day, receded slightly yesterday. Has it been a redder day today, Andy? Or
Well, there have been a few firsts, Agus. You mentioned the first time that all four openers in the first innings of a test have scored centuries. There's been one other test where 4 different openers have scored centuries in the match, but one of those was in second innings. And that 4 first innings openers hundreds has only happened 3 previous times in the entire history of first-class cricket, which is over 60,000 matches. We also saw both opening stands reach 200. Again, that's never happened in Test cricket before, and only 3 previous times also in first-class cricket. We've seen 6 first innings centuries by top 4 batters for the first time in Test cricket. It's only the 3rd time that the top 6 of both teams have all made 20. And curiously, in this run fest of a match, the only top 6 player who's not made a quarter century, an underrated metric, was Joe Root, who was out for 23. And interesting looking at the sessions today. 117 for 3 in the first, 113 without loss in the second, and then 88 for 4 in the third, which has sort of opened the game up again. We go back to England's scoring rate in the first inning, 657, which normally you'd think would be sort of 2 full days batting. England did it in just 100 overs. So although we're losing sort of 10 to 15 overs a day through light, England have almost counteracted that by the pure speed with which they...
It's almost a 4-day game, isn't it?
It is. Just what I was going to say with those stats, the last one, 88 for 4, I always think is a very good sign of a team that is well focused in conditions like this, when they have a good last session when they could be really creaking and sort of falling apart, and they didn't do that. Jacks, I think, also has had a very good day.
Well, just on Will Jacks, before this summer, he'd never taken a twofer in first-class cricket. He'd had only 4 wickets in his career, started bowling more for Surrey, but he'd only had 1 previous innings in which he'd taken 3 wickets, 3 for 132, all 3 wickets in the first over of spells. And for a guy who'd taken 4 first-class wickets before the summer, ended up bowling a day of the Test match with 5 men round the bat.
Is that a record? 3 wickets only in your first over?
No.
You don't know that. He doesn't know that. No. But he ought to take him off more often and bring him back on again.
There was a first, absolutely. We should mention that Livingston was off the field again all day with this knee injury that we hope will get better. I just thought about Jacks. I mean, it's interesting, isn't he? I mean, he's one of those sort of gangling off spinners with a very loopy action and so on. I mean, are you happy with the pace that he's bowling?
Well, he's a bit slower.
I
mean, at this stage, he just wants to bowl his natural pace, because it's too complicated for him to start to say, someone say you're not bowling quick enough. Give him a bit of time. But I thought, actually, at the end, it was a virtue. He got the ball above the eye line to Nazim Shah, who duly, like a proper tail ender, hauled out to deep mid-wicket. And I think he spins the ball. I think he's got a good, solid action. And the reason he got the first wicket is because he's probably quite brave in that he bowls that attacking line Graham Swan used to bowl, which is a little bit wider than some off spinners. So he gets the outside edge into play. He got someone cutting. If you bowl dead straight, you don't get those. So there was a lot to like. I mean, he's got a lot to learn, but he certainly didn't disgrace himself. He did far more than that. He looked impressive, and he got better. Once he got that wicket, he relaxed a bit and looked pretty good, I thought. So
tomorrow, England with a lead to go out there, thrash it about, and then get Pakistan batting, I suppose, onto the 5th day, you'd imagine.
Well, unless they got those 3 wickets if they get the 3 wickets very, very quickly, Pakistan could have a nasty little session tomorrow night. But it's as I say, it's a hard match to make a declaration on in the final innings, because this wicket really won't deteriorate much, and the runs have come pretty fast throughout. But as I said, they've had such a good last session that the game is still alive,
and it's frustrating that we're losing so much time.